That's my intro tune. Everybody knows that by now, right? That's my fun little rockabilly intro tune. I am your host, Michael Sprouse. It's time for Creative Coast. It's Monday, May 6th. It turned out to be a beautiful day out there. Irises are blooming in the front yard. Very excited about that. And you just sit there and the wind comes and brings this wonderful little breeze and lets you remember that it's spring. I don't know if the weather's going to be our friend. I'm sure at some point we may hear a little weather break here. I always have a good time here in Creative Coast, and I have two studio guests today, which I'm quite excited about. I have George Thomasson and Justin Bartels, and we're going to have a very interesting conversation. George Thomasson is an associate broker realtor with Berkshire, Hathaway, HomeService, Gallo, Realty, and Lewes, and he will soon be co-hosting a wonderful show, Coastal Real Estate Today, which should be starting May 22nd here on Radio Rehoboth. You heard official, and I'll be co-hosting as well. So we're going to talk for the first half hour a little bit about that show, about real estate and George's background in fine art, because, of course, this is Creative Coast, so you have to mix the two in. Real estate's a very creative business. You have to think creatively. George, how are you doing today?
Hey, great. Thank you for having me on, Michael.
I'm excited. I'm glad. So I know that this is sort of your first time on the radio. So we're
Yep, it sure is.
I'm like, that's okay. You get the old pro here. It's all right.
Get the crash course going on before May 22nd.
That's right, May 22nd. I figured to come in here, get used to. I'm still working the board, figuring out the board myself, and you got to multitask, but it's all going pretty good.
Absolutely,
yeah.
Absolutely. Well, I'm really looking forward to our program, Coastal Real Estate Today, which will air on 99.1, this station here, Radio Rehoboth.
Radio Rehoboth, that's right. It's very exciting to have and it'll be focused on all different aspects of real estate.
Absolutely. We're going to cover all aspects, like you say, and we're going to have guests, different guests each week to come on and talk about basically all aspects of the real estate industry. Our first guest is going to be our sponsor, who is Bella Terra Landscaping, and Mike Schimmel. Mike Schimmel over there is it's going to be our first guest.
Yeah, very talented.
So when you're talking real estate and you're talking the listing and selling of real estate and all the things that go with that, the landscaping is a very important aspect of any home.
Yes, it is. As a matter of fact, curb appeal, as they call it.
Well, it's my grandmother used to say, your front yard or your front porch is people's first impression of you before they come into their home. So if you have a not so good first impression out there in your yard, it may only get worse once you get inside. But we'll see.
Yeah, well, we'll see about that. And I'm looking forward to the second half hour. We have Justin here. He's an award-winning landscape designer, and I've actually interviewed both he and Mike before on the A&E Report several times because they have beautiful landscaping options out there.
They really do.
Right there, they're in Ellendale off Spicer Road. I think that's the name of it.
Yes.
And but you yourself, you've been involved in the real estate profession for nigh on almost 25 years,
yeah.
Right?
I hate more years than I like to admit to, but yes, I first got my real estate license in Washington, D.C. in 1986, and that was a difficult time to get into the industry. Of course, I didn't know that at the time, and it was very, very competitive in D.C., or still is. But then, after a couple of years there, I kind of set real estate aside and met you, and we opened Eklektikos Gallery of Art.
Yes, went to the fine art business.
Yes. Well, we give people a little history. We actually met at a mutual friend's birthday party, and started talking about art. You're a phenomenal artist yourself.
Well, at that time I was a struggling artist.
And, I had this background in sales, and I figured, heck, let's put the two together. And you went for the idea, and we opened a gallery. We had the Eklektikos for 11 years.
11 years, and it became one of the top 10 galleries in Washington, D.C., based on many publications. It was in Georgetown for the first several years. Then we were on 7th and D Street.
And like the last 5 years, we were on 7th and D.
Yeah, and it was just amazing time. I mean, that was I like to say was pre 911.
Right.
And of course, the tech people making money left and right in the tech market, and people were buying art.
Yeah, we were all making money back then.
Were. It was that's a need to. A time machine is what we needed here.
We were also very lucky. We were in a cluster of galleries in Canal Square in the heart of Georgetown, and that is D.C. Not Lewes or Delaware.
No, it was a great place to open. It was a small little gallery, but man, we had crowds out the door. People to get in.
We were right outside the Sea Catch restaurant. That was a lot of fun. And then a couple of years later, we were doing really well. We opened a larger space down on 7th Street with a collection of galleries down there too. The Newmark Gallery.
Newmark Gallery, Touchstone was there. There were a couple.
David Adamson
Gallery, phenomenal galleries at that time.
Yeah. And so that was a really, really good time, and we were in very, very good company. I was very humbled by the presence of all the work. I mean, because Annie Leibovitz showed at David Adamson Gallery, plus a whole litany of other famous.
They were just phenomenal. It was an amazing time to be involved in the arts.
Right. We specialized mainly in emerging artists, but we got some. Well, we actually had some emerging artists who became very successful artists all over the country, and that was very gratifying. So, but we weren't necessarily the blue chip people.
Well, no. Occasionally, we would have something. But you're one of the specialties that you were so great at. You were hanging all the exhibits. It's funny because I had my friend Tony Boyd Heron on my other radio show over the weekend, and they have an exhibit that opened last Saturday, but the opening reception is this coming Saturday. Phenomenal fiber art exhibit, and he was a little thrown off course because he's used to, as you were, I do these shows, I hang these shows by myself, and there were 4 other people there with him making
this. I was there listening at Browse About, that was a lot of fun too. Everybody come down to Browse About Books on Saturday. You can see Michael live with his various guests right there. It was a lot of fun. So, musicians, actors, writers, etc. But in any case, Tony was telling the story of the exhibit that he has hanging now. Mm-hmm. Tony, just like myself, our role was to one of the roles was to create the environment that the artwork was going to be displayed in. And so I preferred that all artists would drop their work off and leave
and hit the road.
I'll say, I'll see you opening night, dress nicely. And we had one time where, an artist and 2 of her friends came, and I think rather than being there for an abbreviated period of time, we were in there for hours.
Hours hanging that show.
Yes.
Yeah, that was pretty crazy. So that was the first and last time.
So that story of Tony's brought back some memories.
Yeah,
but anyway, we had Eklektikos for 11 years, and then in about 2002, moved to Delaware. And decided, to pick up my license again, and have been working at Berkshire, Hathaway, HomeService's Gallo Realty for the last 17 years. Or 16 years. And actually, I should say that was Prudential Gallo way back a few years back, but Gallo Realty. And I've been there ever since. Yeah,
and you've done very well there, and of course, it's a great group of professionals that you've worked with there. And
it is, it's been, the real estate industry has been through a lot of changes here in the last definitely 15 years. And Gallo was a smaller company then. We now have 3 offices in Bethany, Rehoboth, and also Lewes. And the company's grown exponentially, but it still has that family feel to
Absolutely.
You feel related even though you're not.
Yeah, it's great. It's a great feeling. And now I am, I got my license, and I'm now a realtor. And of course, I'm with Berkshire Hathaway Home Services and Gallo Realty and Lewes as well. I think we're going to be going to, if I'm reading these numbers correctly on this wonderful computer in front of me, we'll probably be going to a break in a little bit. But when we come back, we'll talk about, because you also, there's several organizations that you're part of professionally, and those are all very important, and those will certainly have a lot to do with our upcoming radio show.
Absolutely. So I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, I think, we got about a minute 30.
That's a lot of
time. Yeah, we got a lot of time. So we
can talk about, we decided, Michael and I have had a lot of business ventures over the years together. Eklektikos Gallery was one. Mm-hmm. And just this year we decided to form Sprouse Thomasson Real Estate Associates.
Yeah.
And, of course, affiliated with Berkshire, Hathaway, Gallo, Realty. And we're building a team. And we're going to kind of go out and do things, getting the word out there.
Yeah, absolutely. But of course, also the radio show that will be starting on May 22nd, we're going to cover a wide. We'll have people from all different aspects of.
Oh, absolutely.
It's so immense.
Don't necessarily want to talk about listings for an hour or something like that. So we'll figure out how we're going to talk about that. But we'll have a lot of interesting information from a lot of interesting people. Who anywhere from home inspectors to real estate attorneys, mortgage lenders.
Sure.
So we're just going to cover everybody.
And I believe, fingers crossed, at that time we'll probably be able to take a few calls from the public if we get some of the stuff working out here. So
yeah, that would be great.
That'd be nice because people are very interested, of course, in this. It's a huge subject here in the area. Now I can see that we probably have just a few seconds left. I think we're going to go to our first break, but when we come back, we're going to finish touching base on that, and then in the second half hour, we'll have Justin, and there's my outro music. So, folks, don't go anywhere. I'm your host, Michael Sprouse. We'll be right back.
This beach traffic report is sponsored by Cape Spine and Disc. Cape Spine and Disc provides non-surgical chronic pain relief treatment. More information is available on their website at capespineanddisc.com or by calling 302-644-2473. 99.1 Radio Rehoboth thanks Dr. Frank Mrazek of Cape Spine and Disc for their generous support.
The traffic volume is a little heavy and sponsoring toward Millsboro along the southbound side of Route 24 as you pass by Route 5. As you head down from Long Neck, you're slowing as you head toward Route 113 after that. Now, heading in toward Georgetown, the delays are getting gradually heavier. Not too bad, though, on southbound Route 9. You're incident-free otherwise from Route 404 as you head toward Route 113. And the traffic is a little heavy and sponsored out of Rehoboth Beach on Coastal Highway northbound from Rehoboth Avenue toward Lewes as you head toward Route 9. This traffic report is underwritten by InventHelp, offering information on the procedure for getting a patent for your invention. The information is available at 1-800-607-8914, 1-800-607-8914. This is Rick Dixon for 99.1 Radio Rehoboth.
Supporting 99.1 Radio Rehoboth, Friends Life Care is a member organization designed for people ages 40 to 85 who want to remain independent in their own home as they age. Membership helps protect savings and prepare for unexpected changes in health. A plan is in place if care is ever needed. A nonprofit Quaker-based organization since 1985. Friends Life Care will hold educational seminars in Lewes, Milford, and Georgetown this May. RSVP at friendslifecare.org or call 1-800-496-1985.
Hi, this is DJ Tim. Join me on Thursdays at 99.1 Radio Rehoboth for the Legend Show featuring the most iconic legends of dance, disco, and R&B starting from 8 to 10 p.m.
Hi there, this is Jim Hartzell of the Possum Point Players, and you are listening to 99.1 Radio Rehoboth Community Radio for Rehoboth Beach, Lewes, and Dewey Beach.
All right, we're back. That was a fun little break.
Yes, it was.
Yeah, I was talking about Tim's show, man. I love your show.
Yeah,
It's a great show.
It sounds great. Like Thursday from 8 to 10.
Yeah, Thursday I think it's, it's amazing. It's a great show, though. Legends.
I was telling Justin earlier when we were sitting in the lobby that, I don't listen to radio that much. Of course, I'm listening to it more now than I ever used to before, but because of Radio Rehoboth and the great mixes that they have, I've been listening to it a lot more.
I think apparently it seems like this entire intro is going to keep playing over us as we're talking right now. I'm waiting for this to sort of fade out, but I think we're going to do this and just sort of see what happens. I think.
All right. Well,
there we go. I think we're okay.
I don't have headphones on,
yeah,
so I don't know what you're doing.
Apparently, I don't either. So,
all right.
I'm here at the board.
I mean, you did have me on to work that kinks out, so we get ready for our show.
I think that my intro song is still playing there, but I'm not sure. I can see that there's still like 2 minutes left on that, and I can hear in the background. So we'll just do this. Is it? No. Okay, then that's still playing. Anyway, that's okay. So as long as people can still hear us, I think we're doing okay here.
I hope so.
Yeah. So tell me about these boards that you belong to, these professional boards.
Oh yes. Well, several years ago, I was very interested in what was happening with our MLS system here in Sussex County. So I thought the best way the best thing to do was to get involved because every time we switch a MLS system, it's very traumatic for realtors, so it's hard to get on there. But anyway, so I volunteered to serve on the MLS committee at the Sussex County Association of Realtors, and that led to me running for the board of directors. And so 2 years ago, I was elected as a director, and this year I was elected as the second vice president of the Sussex County Association of Realtors. And along with that, subsequently came the opportunity to become a director on the Delaware Association of Realtors. So I'm really getting into the weeds with our organization.
Well, that's great. It's all very impressive.
Well, and it's also very, very rewarding because I got to tell you, it's just working with the greatest bunch of people, both at the county level and the state level. I mean, we are all basically competitors, but as in real estate, most people know, all brokers cooperate. Most brokers cooperate if you're a member of the association. So when you become a member, when you're a realtor, you get your license, you become a realtor, and by when I say realtor as opposed to a sales agent, you are actually joining three boards, the Sussex County Association of Realtors, Delaware Association of Realtors, and the National Association of Realtors. So you get three in one, all these organizations working for you, and they're just really great people, and they do a lot of great work. So
yeah, I would agree with that. And I've been meeting a lot of them recently because I'm relatively new to this. Of course,
we're going to put you in the deep end.
Into the thick of it. Yeah. You jump into the deep end down there and start swimming. But one of the first thing that, at least in my experience, that I've started to realize is just, there's this great level of professionalism, and you meet so many different people, and they're very, of course, there's the code of ethics, which is incredibly important. And
that is our Bible.
That's right. And there's professional standards, and everyone, is constantly striving to uphold them, to stay with them, because that's what, people need to be able to trust what's happening.
Well, the one thing that is a requirement, it's an NAR requirement, is that every 2 years, all realtors have to take, we all take continuing education in different forms, and we have to get about 21 credits every 2 years. But one of the classes that's always required is the Code of Ethics. So whether you're a brand new agent or you've been in the business for 40 or 50 years, you are reviewing the Code of Ethics every 2 years. You should have them memorized, basically. The Code of Ethics is that important.
When you look back over the career, let's say the time that you spent working, with the art gallery, which was 11 years, then you went back into real estate, shortly after the relocation here to the beach. Were there any similarities? I mean, it's a creative thinking, I guess, sort of blankets all of it.
There is. The best real estate, residential real estate to have is when you have a beautiful house that is well built, well landscaped. Justin, and
he's here in the studio, by the way,
and also well decorated. Contemporary people like all have different tastes. So you have some people who like the retro look, and other people who like contemporary look. So how you showcase your home is very important, and one of the things that makes a home attractive is how it is decorated. Now, I do not like to mix the art with decorating. I've always hated that. I'm a purist when it comes to art.
You mean, I want this painting to match the couch type of thing?
Don't like that. But let me tell you, in real estate, it helps.
Interesting.
But I think more people, the people who have a nice art collection in their home, they may fare better than just artwork prints that are bought from like some other place.
But sometimes you will. In fact, I'm sure that at some point in our show we will have stagers on at some point. People and that they professionally come in and they make an empty room have a look and feel of that.
Well, and it's not just the way the room looks. Believe it or not, a lot of people when they go into an empty house, most people cannot visualize how their own furniture will fit in that room. It's surprising to me because I think when you talk about how it was hanging shows in the gallery or hanging this, I think, kind of to toot my own horn here a little bit, that I have a very good understanding of space. How things spatially work together, not just in size and shape, but also in color. So I am not a decorator by any means, but I think when you have, when you're talking about staging, for example, sometimes stagers don't bring things in. Sometimes stagers take things out.
Oh, that's a good point.
So if they'll come into a home and you have too many furnishings that's not showcasing your home in the best light, a stager may suggest, or a realtor may suggest, why don't you take that out of here? Why don't you move it into the garage or the basement or wherever and showcase your room? Because when you're selling your home, and this is the hardest thing to tell people who want to sell their homes, your home is becoming a commodity. It's becoming a product that you are offering for sale to the public. So you want to put your best foot forward when doing that. So you have to sort of stop thinking of your home that you are selling as your home and more like a product on the market.
Interesting. And then that would be just a part of the responsibility of a realtor to help a seller realize that. And
you have to be very sensitive about it because one of the things that I've had to tell people quite often, they have a whole wall dedicated to their family, whether it's their children and or grandchildren or whatever, and beautiful families and all that type of things and beautiful pictures as you're going in. But the moment a prospective buyer starts to look at your pictures, they've stopped looking at your house.
Oh, that's a good point.
So I've had to tell people it would be in your best interest to take those pictures down and make it less personal.
Less personable. And, of course, also, the opposite is true, where there's a house that has nothing but empty rooms, and you have to sort of guide, say, imagine this, use your mind's eye and envision this with, your grandmother's dining room table or your favorite, so whatever that would be.
Right. And I have worked with stagers before. I personally would not want to take, if I'm taking on a listing, I'm not also going to take on the task of decorating it. I will point people in the right direction, but I think that might be a little bit higher than my comfort level.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, I understand. But no, it's but and again, we're just sort of giving a little sample of the many subjects that we'll be covering.
It's infinite.
Yeah, there's a lot.
We'll be on the show. We'll be on the air for years.
That's right, because we'll never run out of things to say. Look, we're almost at the half-hour mark, and I got to get Justin in here. But how was your trial by fire, Justin?
Oh, it was great. It was great. I did want to mention one thing.
Oh, sure, go ahead.
And we'll be driving it home. That you can sign up for my weekly market watch, which is called Coastal Delaware Market Watch, and it is a newsletter that I send as an email every Monday, and it is for all the activity from all brokers all over the county as to what new listings, listings that have gone under contract, listings that have closed. And it's been a great tool that I've used for several years, so I encourage everybody to go to our website, which is isellthebeach.net, and you'll see in the upper right-hand corner where you can click an icon to sign up for our market.
Right on. So if anyone wants more information, that's something that they can do.
Absolutely.
Fantastic. Well, thank you.
Well, thank you,
George Thomasson. You did a good job.
Thank you. I'm glad to hear it.
Right on. Good job. Yeah, everything went smoothly. See, nothing burst into flames.
Not yet.
All right. Well, we're going to get Justin over here
on
the mic. Our friend Justin is amazingly talented, even though, I think he just dropped his iPad on the floor, which is and echoing across.
It's just the phone.
Yeah, that's just the phone. That's okay. Thank you, George. I appreciate that. All right. Here we go. We're going to get Justin here, and Justin is an award-winning landscape designer. Is that the correct term that
I'll take it.
Hey. I like the award-winning part, but you are an award-winning landscape. You've multiple awards you've won,
Well,
correct?
It helps when you work at a company like Bella Terra.
Yeah.
We've brought home the best landscape residential design award for 2 years in a row. That's from the Delaware Delaware Landscape Association. So that is all the landscapes from Wilmington on down. We brought the awards to Sussex County, so I'm proud of that.
Wow. So we're in kicking, we're in is it early, mid-spring? I didn't know what part of spring we're in right now. We have about a month and a half left.
It goes to June 21st or so.
Yeah.
So we've got some time left, quite a bit of time. Although it seems like it's been happening a long time.
Well, we'll have a beautiful day, and then all of a sudden it'll be foggy and rainy and 52 degrees, and, that gets a little crazy. Is that a challenge for you as a landscape designer?
As a landscape designer, no. For the crews, very much so. We do a lot of hardscaping, a lot of construction, pool surfaces, patios, outdoor kitchens, and if it's wet, we can't really work. The foundations have to be installed during dry periods, so it can push the schedule back, and that has a backlog effect on the entire schedule.
Sure. Well, what's a typical workday like for you?
A perfect workday for me is I get to work, we get the crews started, plants loaded, materials checked off, everybody goes to their respective jobs, and we go to the jobs, make sure they're going as planned, and go on a couple of appointments, meet new clients, and then spend the afternoon in the office working on designs and estimates. And I like to have that balance in, being in the office and out in the field.
Mm-hmm.
If I can keep it 50-50, it's my idea.
You're doing all right.
Doing all right.
Do you ever have clients that say, just go for it? I mean, complete, total artistic control, or is it really a much more involved process where you're, discussing in detail what they want, or do some people have no idea? They just want something beautiful.
It completely runs the gamut.
Wow.
In my business, it's great to have a client come up to you and just fess up. I don't know anything about landscaping, and I'm glad that's why they hired us, because we do. We've been doing it for 30 years. And so you get to know that person. You interview them, basically. Establish a relationship, find out what they like, what their background is. It can just simple things like favorite colors, and incorporate that into a design. And it's great when they put it all in your hands, and you can have the ability to just do whatever you want.
Total artistic freedom.
Yes.
Wow.
And then there's the other end of the spectrum where there are plenty of people out there that know more about landscape design, more about plants, more about soil science, more about geology, more about irrigation than I do.
Mm-hmm.
But they need to hire somebody to do it. So it's kind of actually fun to work with those people too, because you learn.
Sure.
And there's a whole bunch of people in the middle of those two extremes on the spectrum. A lot of people are now into native plants, pollinators. We just did a garden in Lewes where we got rid of the lawn, all the grass, and put in beds of pollinating flowers, shrubs, native plants and trees. And this woman is with the Lewes Beekeepers organization. Fascinating group.
So she's made her whole yard through you a bee haven? I mean, where bees will come and to try to help, because I know that's a challenge now, correct?
We presented it at a seminar at the library, and she calls it a bee buffet.
Bee buffet. Hey, that's great. Hey, listen, we're going to take a quick break here in a little bit, and when we come back, we're going to talk about the bee buffet and a few other things I'm very interested about. Don't go anywhere, folks. I'm your host, Michael Sprouse. It's time for Creative Coast. Unexpected. I'm not sure how that happened, but we're back. We're back. Hey, we're back. That's my intro. Popped in the middle of that news break. He mentioned something very interesting in the news break. I didn't get to hear the details about it because you and I were talking about a few different things, but the risk to over 1 million different plant animal species, possibly because of global warming, I think was they were referencing a report. Those are issues that must affect your business and the way that you approach.
It absolutely does. I think we all know that climate change is the number one issue that we're going to face and our children will face and grandchildren. So every little thing you can do helps. Recycling. We take all our yard waste, recycle it into organic compost, reuse it. Different schedules for chemicals, spraying lawns, especially in our area. We live in a very delicate ecosystem. The inland bays are fragile, they're struggling, and everything we put on our lawn ends up in the inland bays in one way or another. So you have to be very conscientious about how you design your landscape. You don't want runoff in any way, shape, or form if you can possibly avoid it, and there's a million ways to do that. It's the idea of planting native plants is good for a number of reasons. Best because it helps the bee population, which is collapsing, the butterflies, which are collapsing, all the insects, which are endangered. But the other good thing about native plants is they're hardy. So you don't need to use a lot of chemicals and fertilizers. They like it just the way it is in this environment. So they can be incredibly beautiful, but they're also very durable and not fussy.
What are some native plants that you can just sort of think of off the top of your head that would fit in if someone wanted to start to incorporate them on their own? Because, they want more butterflies, they want more bees, for the pollination.
Well, butterfly weed, Eklektikos, is probably the number one plant that should be in every garden. I'll say that again, Eklektikos.
Can you spell that? How do you? Eklektikos? Did I say it properly? Eklektikos.
Butterfly weed. Eklektikos.
Is it also milkweed? No. Is that something different?
That is something different.
Okay.
But it's similar.
Okay. So tell us about the plant that I can't pronounce properly. That you just
we also live in one of the migratory patterns for the monarch butterflies. So they need certain types of pollen to sustain their journey, and they love the Eklektikos. So if it's planted in your garden, it comes back every year. It's very beautiful. It's orange and gets 2 or 3 feet tall. And it's just one of many, many, many plants that you could plant. Coneflowers, I love.
Oh, I do too. Is that echinacea? Is that correct?
Echinacea. Native, but there's many cultivars of it. And I don't differentiate between the true species, echinacea, and the cultivars. I think anything, planted that is at least mostly native is good enough. Everybody's got a different definition of native. Is it native to Delaware? Is it native to the Mid-Atlantic? Is it native to North America? You can pick your own standards to choose by. And the wider you go with those standards, the more options you have. But planting local plants is going to make for a really easy to maintain garden. Don't forget there's a whole world of grasses out there that are native. All of the panicum grasses, which are switch grasses, very beautiful. Many, many cultivars that now are red and have spectacular fall color. Those are great plants for the garden for no maintenance. There's millions of native plants. I could go on.
Just keep it for the next hour. We'll be continuing with native plants. So cultivar, for people that don't know, that is a hybrid of a plant. Am I correct with that?
Yes, exactly. It's a variety. It's usually something that's been cross-pollinated with another variety. And now, when most people think of coneflowers, they think of the beautiful purple coneflowers. Now they come in everything from sunset to red to yellow to orange.
I have some red ones that I love.
And I love the red ones.
They're beautiful, yeah.
My favorites are the white and the purple, because they're super hardy.
Are there challenges when you've had to work on a project that, let's say, is closer to the water than inland? Is that, would there be different species of plants or different challenges, and what would that be involved in that process?
I'm sitting here nodding my head.
Yes. He's saying yes, everyone.
That's like Trump this morning said Putin nodded yes on their phone call.
Oh, yeah, well, there you go. I missed all of that, but you're nodding yes, so we'll go into some detail.
Especially in Sussex County. We have everything, every kind of environment you can imagine. In Rehoboth, there's clay soil with tall trees and shade. Just, at the end of that block, it can be the ocean with salt spray, which is enemy number one for most plants. And that's a whole palette of plants that has to be able to tolerate salt spray. And then there's, for instance, Lewes, which has all this gorgeous brown alluvium soil, like the Delaware Bay was a delta at some point. So some gardens just, it's so easy to dig and the plants flourish just because of the native soil. But then in other parts of Lewes, there's canal dredge. And those gardens are a little tougher. Every once in a while, well, the canal is, built by the Army Corps of Engineers, and they had to put that soil somewhere. And so in low spots in town of Lewes, they put canal dredging there. So it's not ideal, but it can be overcome. So there's definitely the motto for a good landscape design, or not a motto, but a mantra would be the right plant in the right place.
Oh, okay.
So you have to figure out every aspect of its environment and make sure that the needs of that particular plant are going to be met in that space. And then on top of that, is it going to have enough room to grow? That's probably the biggest mistake I've made over the years, is
overcrowding.
Not right. Yes, exactly.
So I got at some point, probably off the air, I've started a pumpkin patch. And people are like, well, you need to remove all the plants except for the hardiest ones. But I hate pulling up a little seedling and killing it. They look so cool.
I'll come over and give you some tough love. Because
please
do. You do it. Yeah. One year I planted cantaloupes, and I got this little market pack of 6 cantaloupe plants, and it took over my whole backyard.
What?
And I have a big backyard, and I had so many cantaloupes. unfortunately, they're all ripe on the same day.
It's a cantaloupe eating feast.
It was delicious. Tonight we're having blueberry cantaloupe soup.
I just want some cool little pumpkin. Because the truth be told, what happened, I was buying pumpkins like, you know how big Halloween is in downtown Lewes.
Right.
You know, and of course, and I like pumpkins and jack-o'-lanterns and, you know, no offense to the professional pumpkin growers out there, but sometimes, you know, pumpkins can be a little pricey.
Yeah.
And I was buying a pumpkin, and it was a very nice looking, you know, different type of pumpkin, and I overheard this woman say, well, you know, last year I bought this pumpkin, I threw it out in the back, you know, near the compost heap, and didn't pay much attention to it. Next thing you know, I have my own pumpkin. But I'm like, really? So I thought it would be fun to plant, and now we have, you know, there's like, wherever those seeds were, they're big, giant sprouts coming up.
Mm-hmm. It's a hardy grower. You're going to be so happy that you did that. With melons and gourds, probably not recommended for pumpkins. A lot of people don't have the space for that, they think, but you can train it up an arbor, train it up a fence.
A pumpkin?
Not a pumpkin.
Oh, okay.
But gourds.
A gourd, okay.
Gourds,
yeah.
melons, and because they take up so much space on the ground, if they're growing up, it's really cool to see. Have gourd dangling over you're walking under an arch of squash.
Wow, that would be great.
A beautiful thing to do.
All I want is a little pumpkin patch so I can hang out there on Halloween and wait for the great pumpkin to come, because it'll be the most sincere pumpkin patch. That's all out there.
I like that story.
I don't know about that, but I think it would be very cool. And I love growing things from seeds. I do. You know, I also planted, there's a plant, they call it the money plant, I think. It has those little decorative.
It's called lunaria.
Yes, that's right.
And it blooms either vivid purple or white.
I have vivid purple. And it took 2 years for it grows, and it doesn't.
It's a biennial.
Yeah. So it won't bloom next year, or.
But it's seeding this year, so once it started blooming, you'll have the cycle. It'll be blooming every year.
Wow.
Some won't, but others that were established last year will.
Well, the reason I saw that, I was at Longwood Gardens on Christmas, and they had this incredible tree. It was this one tree was massive tree, decorated with those little.
The discs?
Yeah.
The silver discs.
The entire tree.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, well, I'll just grow some and get my own disc and decorate my own tree. I think I probably need more plants of that, but it's very cool.
Every year it will multiply by a factor of 10.
It's right next to the pumpkin patch.
But the great thing about it is it's easy to control. They come right out of the ground. My whole yard is right now ablaze with white money plant.
Oh, really?
It's spectacular.
Wow.
Say some will sell.
There you go. Yeah, decorate. Well, you know, those little dried things, which they're now green. They're now. It started happening very quickly. Suddenly there was a bud and a bloom, and now there are these little seed pods.
Usually the bloom is longer, but it's such a delicate flower. We've had some winds and rains lately that have kind of sped that process along. The flowers got blown away a little bit, and. But my purple patch of that just mutated from the white, and I'm just tickled to death to have them both.
Wow, that's so cool. And so, I could go down and talk about plants from seeds all day. But I want to ask you a few more questions, because I do think, we've still got a little bit of time left. I know we're about to go into break here in about 15 seconds. When we come back, I do want to ask you about invasive plants or species that aren't natural Delaware that people need to be on the watch out for. But we're going to break here in about 3 seconds, so don't go anywhere, folks. I'm your host, Michael Sprouse. It's Creative Coast.
This beach traffic report is sponsored by Cape Spine and Disc. Cape Spine and Disc provides non-surgical chronic pain relief treatment. More information is available on their website at capespineanddisc.com or by calling 302-644-2473. 99.1 Radio Rehoboth thanks Dr. Frank Mrazek of Cape Spine and Disc for their generous support.
Other delays that continue as you make way in toward Millsboro on the southbound side of Route 24 from before Route 30 toward Route 113. That's gradually clearing out, though. Heading in toward Georgetown, you're also beginning to clear out on Route 9 going southbound approaching Route 113. A little heavy in spots, not too bad as you make way out of Rehoboth Beach on Coastal Highway northbound as you pass by Rehoboth Avenue toward Lewes toward Route 9. This traffic report is underwritten by Invent Help, offering information on the procedure for getting a patent for your invention. The information is available at 1-800-607-8914, 1-800-607-8914. This is Rick Dixon for 99.1 Radio Rehoboth.
Hi, this is DJ Tim. Join me on Thursdays at 99.1 Radio Rehoboth for the Legend Show featuring the most iconic legends of dance, disco, and R&B starting from 8 to 10 p.m.
Hi, this is Keith Markowitz from Delaware Hospice, and you are listening to 99.1 Radio Rehoboth Community Radio for Rehoboth Beach, Lewes, and Dewey Beach.
All right, we're back. And I think that my intro song is going to play for the next 2 minutes because I can see the time here. We'll have to take care of that. But you know what? I have this little lever right here, and I can just sort of pull the volume down, and I think that we're still... Our mics are still. Isn't that wild and amazing how we can do that? Let's open that. Hopefully that's not for... I think everyone can hear us, but... See, there it is.
Hi, everybody.
Such power. There it is. But no, we don't want to hear it. We want to talk about the nursery at Bella Terra.
Well,
right?
we do.
Yeah.
It's kind of been exciting lately because we started this nursery a couple years ago for the locals and for the other landscapers. And slowly but surely it's grown, and this year it has caught on. And we have Steve that grows things from seed, he grows things from cutting. He's just the most green thumb doesn't begin. It's astonishing what he can do. And so now we've got this extraordinary plant collection. It's all for sale. And Hope and Briley are the two people that make the nursery hum, and they're a joy to work with. Hope is a fountain of information, and if you ever have any questions, she's your go-to girl, and she knows where every single plant in that nursery is. It's kind of uncanny, but it's just on the other side of Milton, between Allendale and Milton, off of Route 16 on Spicer Road, and it's an old farm. It's just a beautiful place to be. We have installed a design garden, so we've got all these different product lines of pavers and natural stone and brick, walkways, patios, fire pits, seating walls, and it's all landscaped. So it's a great meditation.
It's beautiful. It is. Yeah.
You just go there and take a walk, and you don't even have to buy anything.
No, just to go out there and chill out. I mean, it helps if you do that. But I mean, when I
you wouldn't help
there,
but be able to buy stuff. The stuff just is. I don't know. Thank God I get an employee discount.
The thing I remember, beyond just the beauty that was incorporated, of course, by Bella Terra into this wonderful little landscaped area where there were so many butterflies when we were shooting that day when we were filming, and you really get the sense of this is something that you could recreate in your own front or backyard or side yard or patio. If we want, they were everywhere, and they were beautiful butterflies. They were landing on me. It was really phenomenal, and you really felt a sense of connection to nature, really, and you realize that everyone, if you wanted your yard to look beautiful, that's wonderful, and people do enjoy that. But also, there's ways to do it that are going to work in connection to our environment.
Well, I think having a plethora of butterflies is a sign of good juju, and it's a sign of a good garden. And to have butterflies flocking to you, I think it says something about your energy.
Well, I probably poured a little too much honey on that day. I was sort of, was I eating and walking around with a piece of wedding cake? I don't know, but it was
a really
lovely.
Great thing to have in your garden that's super easy is a little butterfly bath.
What's that? Tell us about
you
that.
could just put a dish, like a teacup saucer, and just have the divot in the bottom of the saucer have water in it, and butterflies love it. They need water, and little protected environments of little teeny water baths attracts them. They find it somehow.
Wow, that's great.
It's great.
You don't need to put any nut sugar water, just plain water.
Just plain water.
Wow, that's phenomenal. Are there some plants that you would suggest to people? You really don't want to have. It's not really a strong natural plant. It's invasive. That people may feel like putting in their garden, but ultimately you would think this is probably not the right decision.
Yes, Delaware has a policy of not outlawing things, which I think is good. It just leaves everybody to use their own best judgment. And there are plants that are very popular. You see them at the big box stores that are not recommended for this area. And the big heartbreaker on that list is butterfly bush, because it's so effective at attracting butterflies. But certain cultivars in certain situations, in certain environments, are invasive. The seeds spread. And so I use my best judgment. If somebody loves a butterfly bush, they want a butterfly bush, then they should have a butterfly bush. But there's a list of Delaware invasive species, and you'd be surprised at some of the stuff that's on there. Barberry bush is really common. The builders use them in their commercial contractor packages. They've got the little red leaves. They're little dwarf bushes. They make great foundation plants, but they're invasive, and they're on the list. So we try not to use them unless somebody absolutely wants one. So the state has recommendations on their website that you can go to and find out what's good and what's not good to be planted. Some of them are, obvious. Everybody knows the Bradford pear is not to be planted. There's many new cultivars of pears that are much better suited. So you won't find any of those at the nursery.
Fear not. Everything there is approved and safe for planting in Delaware, I would imagine, correct?
Well, I should say that we do have a great selection of natives. We do have a great selection of non-natives. Ornamentals. You can't have flower pots that are spectacular all summer long without using some of the annuals that we've grown. And we've got it all, especially now. It's coming on, and every day there's a new batch of something. You have to see it to believe it. I recommend getting out there.
Yeah. I'm going to be going out because last year we did the thing where we took the tulip bulbs, put them in the pots, kept them like in the cool under the house for months, waited for them. The minute we put them out, when they were ready, they were popping out a little bit. I guess the squirrels came and feasted or something. Nothing, but chewed up, ruined tulip bulbs in those pots. Very frustrating.
Well, you should dig a hole, put your bulbs in, fill it with dirt, then cover that with chicken wire.
Yeah. And
then mulch over the chicken wire. And that frustrates them so.
Yeah, it's fun to see a frustrated squirrel.
Yeah. We used to have a hilarious bird feeder. My Aunt Bernadette gave us a hilarious bird feeder, and no squirrel could figure it out. Until finally they're like, yeah, through the base of it, and it broke.
Wow. Yeah, I mean, sometimes, obviously, there's some, I tried growing blueberries once, and someone said get this sort of like little netting to put, because the birds would come, and I never got a chance to get any adult blueberries because they'd be, the bush would be picked clean by these birds. One day I had to release a bird. That was a hot mess. I was all tangled up in the thing, and I had to go out there.
I have a big cherry tree. I've got a thing for cherries, and the birds know exactly when they're at their peak. And so you get that black plastic mesh.
Yeah, that's exactly what I got.
And a little bit of patience. putting it on. It's kind of a chore, but it's worth it. And it saves your cherries from the birds.
Yeah,
I don't have any trouble with the birds in my blueberries, though.
Interesting. Yeah, they
really lucky there. I guess they're so distracted by the cherries.
Yeah. Well, I don't have. The blueberry. I tried the raspberries. That didn't. It's the same issue. And they also were sort of hit or miss. But I love raspberries and blueberries. And I love being able to just go out and. Not that I've had that experience because, they're feeding the critters instead of, on my breakfast cereal, but, whatever.
I know a great raspberry
That's what the farmers markets are for.
In Ocean View, Delaware.
Ah.
It's delicious. Isn't it crazy how something can taste great, but if it's fresh, it tastes extraordinary?
Yeah.
What a difference it makes.
Do you grow a lot of vegetables and fruits yourself in your own garden space? Because I know you have a beautiful, you have a large space that you like to plant in. And...
I have these friends, Jim and Rachel.
Mm-hmm.
They're prolific growers, and they do it really well. So I don't have to anymore. I just cruise their garden.
Well, I know them. I know where they live.
I was going to say.
I hope they're listening right now. Justin said to show up with a basket. So here I am.
You go to Touch of Italy and get some fresh mozzarella.
That's right.
And, go to Jim and Rachel's and get some fresh basil and some fresh tomatoes, and there's nothing better in this world.
Really, that is true.
The time of year is coming up. I can't wait.
Yeah, I never had good luck with tomatoes because there were these funky green giant grub-like worms that feasted on them. I guess that's what I'll just go to the farmers market or Jim and Rachel's.
I saw a cartoon about growing tomatoes the other day. Something like only tomatoes where you can spend 3 months working hard to save $2.37 at the grocery store.
But they're delicious. They're delicious.
And that's another one. Nothing's better than fresh off the vine.
Yeah.
I love tomatoes. I do a lot of herbs, and I like my fruit trees and my blueberries, but not so much with the vegetables.
Yeah. You really have to stay on top of that, I think.
You do. And I think... I'm not comfortable using chemicals. So my garden is a tough love situation. If you've got a problem, you better figure it out, plant. Or
there you go. Right
or you're going to expire. So vegetables, you're always like, oh no.
Well, one year, I actually did get some, but we planted marigolds. Is that not something that actually works, or is that what they call, sort of a old wives' tale type of thing? We planted them all around the tomatoes.
I think it must work to some extent because it's been around forever and people still do it. And I've read that it does work.
And they have a very pungent
natural mosquito repellent.
Correct. Yeah.
So it's worth a try.
I want my garden to be filled with butterflies, dragonflies, and bats because I'm thinking about getting a bat box because they eat mosquitoes.
Right.
Yeah. And I think that would be cool. To have something like that. I don't know how you would lure the bats over, but maybe candy corn. I don't know. What would you? I don't know, but
I'm going to edit those.
That's right.
Nice things that I was going to say.
But I think it's important. I would love that, and ever since moving to this area, and there's so many beautiful gardens. There's such a wonderful accent on farmers markets, and a lot of Delaware is rural. Even though of course you see that constantly, there's more development, and a lot of that land seems to be sort of dissipating. But you're proactively involved because of what you do and helping to preserve a lot of that beauty. And that's going to make you feel good at the end of the day.
It does. I wish I could do something more effective in slowing the sprawl. But if making what's happening look a little bit better, I'll be happy with that.
Yeah, right on. And we only got a few minutes left, but I read an article a couple of months ago that I believe was released by the state, and it was a warning to look out for this particular type of larva that was
the spotted lanternfly.
Yes, tell us about that.
Just insect that's coming, and it decimates certain plant material, and I can't remember the one tree that it's really attracted to. But the interesting thing, if you find one, and it's easy to find because they're kind of pretty, they've got a red stripe on the back side, And you need to report it because it's a situation that needs to get under control because they're starting to infiltrate Delaware. And they lay eggs in weird places, and which is basically to say they'll lay them anywhere. And it looks like just a tan egg sac, but every single one of them has 6 or 7 vertical stripes. So that's how you can tell. And if you see anything
the eggs
like that,
do? The eggs have them?
Mm-hmm.
Interesting.
The egg sacs. And these things can count.
Wow, yeah. So I think, yeah. And I posted somewhere, I'm like, hey, everyone, pay. I think I actually I tweeted about it. And, because I wanted people to say, no one likes the scary stuff when invasive species come.
Remember the gypsy moths?
Yes, yeah.
Go to the Appalachian Mountains and see whole mountain range defoliated. So you have to catch it in time. And this would be a good one to catch in time.
Is it possible? Are there plants that could be planted that they would find offensive, that would drive them away, or is it beyond, or is that even a possibility?
I'm sure it is a possibility, but not one that I'm aware of. They do have the penchant. It's killing me that I can't think of a tree with heaven in the name is what they're all about.
Mm.
And it grows like a weed. So,
well, we'll just have to think of more beautiful, lovely things in our gardens. But I want people to be aware of that because, it's a serious thing. So,
yeah, I've got just this policy that if you want to be in my garden and you're an animal or an insect, you're more than welcome. Your family was probably here first, and I just deal with that.
Yeah, right on. That's good to hear.
Don't create these environments unless it's something dangerous.
Yeah. Justin, we only got like 35 seconds left. I'm so happy that you were here today. You're one of my favorite people, and you're so creative and so full of wonderful energy. And I will have you back, of course, because we have 4 seasons in a year, and there's special things that you do every season.
Well, I'll be glad to come back, because I like the radio.
Yeah.
I've been told more than once that I have a face for radio.
I like the way you nod when I ask a question.
Right.
He's nodding yes. No, he's shaking his head no. Maybe it's a maybe this time.
I'm going to act it out with sock puppets.
That's all right. Hey, everybody, don't go back. I got another hour of music coming up. I'm your host, Michael Sprouse. It's Creative Coast.